You know that recurring nightmare where you're drowning in a never-ending inbox, while somehow also needing to research 50 leads, update your CRM, and respond to customer inquiries? What if I told you there's now a way to hire a digital employee who handles all of that, works around the clock, never takes breaks, and costs less than your monthly coffee habit? Today we're talking about Zapier Agents and how they've evolved from simple automation into something that genuinely deserves to be called an AI employee. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to set up your first agent, which workflows actually make sense to automate, and the honest limitations nobody's talking about. I'll walk you through real examples, lead qualification, inbox triage, customer research, tasks that used to require dedicated employees but now run autonomously. And because I actually use these tools myself, I'll tell you where they genuinely shine and where they still need a human watching over them. First, let's talk about what's actually different here. If you've used Zapier before, you know the old model. If this happens, then do that. Simple, linear, predictable. You'd set up a Zap that says, when someone fills out this form, add them to this spreadsheet, send them this exact email. Every step defined explicitly by you. That worked great for repetitive tasks with zero variation. But what about tasks that require judgment? Research? Adapting to different situations? That's where AI agents represent a fundamental shift. Instead of programming every possible scenario, you describe what you want accomplished, and the agent figures out the steps. According to Zapier's documentation, their agents work autonomously across more than 7,000 connected applications to automate complex business tasks. 7,000 apps. That means your Gmail, your CRM, your calendar, your project management tool, your accounting software, all of it can now be controlled by a single AI agent. And here's the key difference. You don't need to be a programmer. You're literally just telling the agent what you want in plain English. Zapier Central allows natural language instructions. You can say something like, research this lead on LinkedIn, draft a personalized email, and add them to HubSpot. The agent then breaks that instruction into steps, executes each one, and handles the variability. Different leads get different research. Different emails get different personalization. Let me walk you through a real example that shows exactly how this works in practice. Let's say you run a consulting business and leads come in through your website form. Zapier agents can browse the internet to research prospects, gather industry news, or find competitive intelligence, all automatically when a new lead arrives. So your agent receives the form submission, looks up the company on LinkedIn, checks their website for recent news, notes their industry and company size. Then it drafts a personalized outreach email that references something specific about their business. Not a generic template, but something that shows you actually did your homework. Finally, it adds everything to your CRM with the research notes attached, scores the lead based on criteria you've defined, and if they're hot, it books a call on your calendar. That entire workflow, which would take a human assistant 15 to 20 minutes per lead, happens automatically within seconds of someone hitting submit. Now let's talk about a second use case that might hit closer to home for most of us. Inbox triage. The average professional spends over 2 hours a day just on email. A Zapier agent can read your incoming emails, categorize them by urgency and type, draft appropriate responses for routine inquiries, and flag anything that actually needs your attention. Customer asking a common question about your pricing? The agent drafts a response using your existing FAQ. Newsletter you never read. It archives automatically. Urgent message from a VIP client? That gets flagged, pushed to the top, and maybe even triggers a Slack notification so you don't miss it. Workers using the right generative AI tools report a genuine 40% productivity boost, according to Zapier's research on AI productivity tools. 40%. That's not incremental improvement. That's getting back almost half your work week. Or, if you prefer, doing twice the work without burning out. The third workflow I want to walk through is customer research. Let's say you're preparing for sales calls or need to understand who's signing up for your product. Instead of spending 30 minutes before each call Googling the company, checking LinkedIn, reading their recent press releases, the agent does all of that the moment the meeting gets booked. By the time you sit down for the call, there's a briefing document waiting. Company background, recent news, potential pain points based on their industry, conversation starters. Small business AI adoption has jumped to 68%, with owners reporting cost savings of 25 to 40% in their first year of implementation. That's not Silicon Valley hype. Those are real small businesses finding real savings. The question isn't whether AI automation works. It's whether you're set up to use it effectively. So let's talk about how you actually set this up. I'm going to walk through the practical steps because that's what actually matters. Step 1. Start by connecting your most used apps. Don't try to hook up everything at once. Pick your email, your CRM, and your calendar. Those 3 cover most use cases. Step 2. Identify one specific, high-volume, repetitive task. Not multiple tasks. One. The one that eats the most of your time with the least variation. Maybe that's lead enrichment. Maybe that's scheduling follow-ups. Maybe that's sorting incoming support tickets. Pick the one that makes you groan every time you have to do it. According to Zapier's agent documentation, instead of programming every possible scenario, you simply provide instructions in conversational language, and the agent figures out how to accomplish your goals. Step 3. Write your instructions like you're explaining the task to a smart new employee. Be specific about what you want, but don't try to script every possible scenario. For example, when a new lead comes in, research their company, check if they match our ideal customer profile, and draft a personalized first-touch email. If they're enterprise, flag for my review. Step 4. Use the Live Data Sources feature. This gives your agent access to real-time information from your connected apps, so it's working with current data, not stale exports. Step 5. And this is important. Build in human review checkpoints for anything customer-facing until you trust the agent's judgment. Don't let it send emails unsupervised on day 1. Let me be honest about the limitations here, because every AI tool has them and pretending otherwise would waste your time. The biggest concern with autonomous agents is reliability. When they make decisions, like how to categorize a lead or what tone to use, errors can compound across thousands of interactions. I've seen agents miscategorize urgent requests as routine, send slightly off-tone emails to important clients, and occasionally just get confused by edge cases. That's why the human review checkpoint isn't optional. It's essential, at least for the first few weeks until you've seen how the agent handles real situations. Productivity tools can save an average of 10 to 20 hours per employee per week, depending on which workflows you automate and how well you set them up. That range matters. 10 hours versus 20 is a big difference, and it comes down to choosing the right workflows and setting up clear instructions. There's also cost to consider. The basic Zapier features are reasonably affordable, but the advanced agent capabilities require premium plans that can run several $100s monthly. My honest take, if you're spending more than 5 hours a week on tasks that could be automated, the math probably works in your favor. Less than that, you might want to start with basic Zaps. Let's talk about who this makes the most sense for. Small business owners handling their own lead gen and customer communication. This is transformative for you. Consultants and freelancers who spend too much time on admin instead of billable work. Same thing. Agencies managing high volumes of similar client requests? Absolutely. Sales teams drowning in lead research and follow-up? Operations managers buried in status updates and data entry? You're the target audience here. Where it makes less sense. Highly creative work, strategic decision-making, relationship-heavy roles where the personal touch is the entire point. According to Beam AI's research, AI enables small businesses to scale like large companies without increasing headcount, and that's exactly what we're seeing with these tools. Think about that. Tasks that used to require hiring a junior employee, lead research, initial outreach, inbox management, can now be handled by a monthly subscription. That's not replacing skilled workers. It's giving smaller teams the capacity that used to require larger headcount. It's a capability equalizer. All right, let's get practical. Here's exactly what I want you to try this week. One concrete step that will tell you whether Zapier agents are right for your workflow. Open Zapier and connect 3 apps: your email, one database or CRM, and your calendar. Even if you use the free tier, just get them connected. Then write out, just on paper or a notes app, what your ideal assistant would do with those 3 tools. Not everything, just the most painful repetitive task. Calculate how much time you spend on that task each week. Be honest. Then multiply by 52 to see your annual time investment in that one repetitive workflow. If that number makes you uncomfortable, if you're spending 100 hours a year on something an AI agent could handle, you have your answer about whether it's worth setting up. Start with one workflow, run it for 2 weeks with human review enabled, track the time savings and error rate, and then decide whether to expand. Don't try to automate your entire business in one afternoon. The people who fail with these tools usually fail because they tried to do too much too fast. The people who succeed, they pick one workflow, make it bulletproof, and then expand systematically. They treat the agent like a real employee who needs training. Because that's really what this is. You're not just configuring software, you're onboarding a digital team member who will need guidance before they can work independently. The good news? Unlike human employees, once you train this one, you can duplicate it infinitely. The instructions that work for one workflow can template into dozens. So that's Zapier Agents. Not magic, not hype, just a genuinely useful tool that's finally ready for non-technical professionals to use without writing code. Start with one workflow. Build and review checkpoints. Track your time savings. And if it works, expand from there. Next week, we're covering the AI tools that are actually worth paying for in 2026, and the ones that are still overpriced for what they deliver. Until then, stop doing manually what a digital employee could handle. Your time is worth more than that. I'll see you next episode.